So even the anatomical wiring in the brain is determined by the context.
Absolutely. Telomeres can change. Telomeres can change. There was a study, recent study that...
For those who don't know telomeres, these are the buttons at the end of our chromosomes, and the length of them actually determines longevity, right?
Exactly.
So you're saying telomeres
can be modified by the culture. They studied in Detroit, they studied poor whites and low socioeconomic or low middle class. Whites, Mexicans, and blacks. The whites had the lowest telomeres. The Mexicans had higher telomeres in the poor than the Mexicans in the lower middle class. Why? Because of the interpretation that they made, the cultural interpretation. First, the most poor maintain a cultural cohesiveness. And when they get some kind of prejudice, they consider it to be rude. The second generation considers it to be prejudice.
An insult.
And an insult. And the rude brings out what George Solomon called righteous anger, which is good for the immune system. The other one brings out shame, affecting telomeres.
Why did the whites, the poor whites, have the lowest telomeres?
The thinking is that they've had less struggle because they had the struggle of economics, but they haven't had the struggle of the ethnicity and the race, where the blacks and the Mexicans had more exposure, so they actually have more resilience because of the exposure that they had.
You talk in the book about longevity, and you know, I've always felt that the way we interpret time influences, in a way, the biological clock. So if I'm running out of time, this society always has this time sickness. You're running out of time, your biological clock speeds up, your platelets get sticky, you have high levels of adrenaline, cortisol, you have a heart attack, you run out of time.
You run out of time.
And there are other places I've been to where time seems to stand still. I mean, you go to the Himalayas, you just see people sitting there doing nothing. I remember my son visiting with me. We went to some ashrams up in the north, and we saw these people by the wayside, and they're just sitting. And he said to me, he said, "Papa, what are they doing?" I said, "They're just being."
They're being.
They're being. They're not doing anything. He couldn't understand it.
Yes.
But you know, there is a correlation, according to some people, between how we experience time and how our biological clock ages.
I think
time is also, as a subjective experience anyway,
yes,
is context bound, right?
very much. And the biology will respond to the internal clock, the hypothalamus, not to the external clock. And we know now that, for example, when you're going to have novelty with danger, like, for example, falling off a building or a car accident, there's a sense of slowing down.
Yes.
And the reason the time didn't slow down, the internal time slowed down because you have more neurons working on the novelty that is dangerous. So what it does is it expands time when there's dangerous novelty. But when there's meaningful novelty in the sense of enjoying, time passes very quickly. When you're depressed, time goes on forever.
Available on CuriosityStream. Watch premium factual shows at curiositystream.com.